Have you ever found yourself biting your tongue, smiling when you don't feel like it, or agreeing to something just to avoid conflict? Have you ever wondered why, despite always being kind and accommodating, people still take you for granted? The world has conditioned you to believe that being nice is the key to success, respect, and happiness. But here's the harsh truth. The more you bend, the more people will expect you to break. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Niceness, in its common form, is not a virtue. It is often a weakness. It stems from fear, the fear of rejection, the fear of disapproval, the fear of standing alone. And what does fear breed? A life lived in quiet frustration, where you sacrifice your own needs just to keep the peace. But peace bought through submission is not peace at all. It is servitude. If you want to command respect, you must stop seeking approval. If you want to be truly strong, you must learn to say no. And if you want to live by Stoic principles, you must replace shallow niceness with something far greater: virtue, strength, and unwavering integrity. This video is not about becoming cruel or indifferent. It is about reclaiming your power, setting boundaries, and refusing to be manipulated by the expectations of others. It is about transforming from someone who is merely liked into someone who is truly respected. The time has come. Stop being nice. Start being strong. Chapter 1. The difference between nice and virtuous. The world tells you to be nice. It rewards politeness, accommodation, and compliance. It teaches you that being agreeable will get you ahead, that if you smile enough, nod enough, and avoid confrontation, people will like you. But the Stoics would tell you otherwise. Niceness is not a virtue. It is often a mask for fear, for avoidance, for a desperate need to be liked. And that, my friend, is weakness. The Stoics believed in virtue, strength of character, wisdom, justice, courage, and discipline. They did not believe in being agreeable for the sake of it. Being virtuous does not mean being rude, but it does mean standing firm, speaking truth, and refusing to betray your principles for the comfort of others. Being nice is about social approval. Being virtuous is about self-respect. If you are choosing the former, you are selling yourself short. What happens when you constantly strive to be nice? You become a pawn in someone else's game. People quickly recognize those who seek approval and will exploit it. A nice person is seen as someone who can be convinced, manipulated, and swayed. A virtuous person, however, is unwavering. They do not change their stance to fit someone else's needs. They are rooted in their values and principles. The dangers of chronic niceness go deeper than simply being used. Over time, it erodes your self-worth. When you prioritize others' comfort over your own convictions, you teach yourself that your own needs and desires are secondary. You internalize the belief that standing up for yourself is somehow wrong, that setting boundaries makes you selfish. But the Stoics understood that nothing could be further from the truth. True virtue demands strength, and strength requires that you put your own integrity above the fleeting approval of others. This is not a call to be harsh or unkind. It is a call to be firm. A Stoic understands that there is a fine line between being diplomatic and being a doormat. Strength and virtue are not found in seeking favor, but in standing unshaken in your beliefs. You do not need to please everyone to live a meaningful life. In fact, the more you seek validation from others, the further you drift from your true self. It is not your duty to make others comfortable at the expense of your authenticity. The next time you hesitate before asserting yourself, consider the long-term cost of silence. Each moment you allow yourself to be swayed by external pressure is a moment you rob yourself of true agency. When you compromise on what you believe in simply to maintain peace, you sacrifice your very essence in exchange for fleeting approval. True respect, both self-respect and respect from others, comes only when you refuse to betray yourself for convenience. Start recognizing when you are being nice out of fear. The next time you feel the impulse to agree or soften your stance, pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I truly believe it, or am I afraid of conflict? Strength comes from acting on principle, not from seeking approval. Take note of moments when you compromise your values for the sake of approval, and make it a practice to stand by your convictions. When you say no, say it with confidence. When you assert yourself, do it without guilt. The more you practice, the more natural it will become. Chapter 2. The danger of seeking approval. The moment you seek the approval of others, you hand them power over you. The Stoics understood this deeply. They practiced the art of being self-sufficient, of drawing validation from within. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." Why do we do this? Because we fear rejection. We are conditioned to believe that if we are not liked, we are not worthy. But the truth is, no matter what you do, someone will disapprove. You could give everything you have, bend over backwards for others, and still, someone will find fault with you. So why bother? Seeking approval is a form of dependence. When your happiness is tied to external validation, you will never be in control of your own peace of mind. The Stoics believed that true contentment comes from within, from aligning your actions with virtue rather than chasing the shifting opinions of others. The danger of seeking approval is that it leads to self-betrayal. You begin to shape yourself into whatever others want, rather than staying true to your own principles. Over time, this erodes your confidence and diminishes your sense of self. Moreover, the more you seek validation, the less people respect you. When you constantly look to others for approval, they see you as someone who lacks conviction. People respect those who stand firm in their beliefs, who do what is right rather than what is popular. The irony is that by trying to be liked, you actually become less respected. Instead of seeking approval, strive for self-respect. Make decisions based on wisdom, not on the fear of rejection. Focus on becoming someone who acts with integrity, who follows their own path regardless of external opinions. As Epictetus advised, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. True strength lies in being indifferent to the fleeting opinions of the crowd. Stop filtering yourself to please others. The next time you hesitate to speak your mind, remind yourself, I am not here to be liked. I am here to live in accordance with my principles. Keep a journal where you track moments when you held back, then challenge yourself to act differently next time. Chapter 3. Why you must set boundaries. A man who is too nice is a man with no boundaries. He is the one who lets people walk over him, the one who says yes when he means no, the one who lets himself be taken for granted. The Stoics would see this as a failure, not a virtue. A wise person values their time and energy. They do not give it away carelessly. A lack of boundaries does not just affect your personal well-being, it diminishes your value in the eyes of others. When you are too agreeable, people begin to assume that your time and efforts are infinite, that you are always available, and that your own priorities come second to their needs. Instead of being seen as kind, you are seen as someone who can be taken advantage of. Those who fail to set boundaries often find themselves exhausted, unfulfilled, and ultimately resentful. Seneca warns, while we are postponing, life speeds by. Your time is your most valuable resource. Every moment you spend pleasing others at the expense of yourself is a moment wasted. If you do not set boundaries, people will set them for you. When you constantly accommodate, you slowly lose sight of your own ambitions and goals. You become a supporting character in someone else's story rather than the protagonist of your own life. Setting boundaries does not mean shutting others out. It means prioritizing yourself. The ability to say no is a mark of self-respect, not selfishness. A Stoic knows that personal energy must be spent wisely, just as wealth must be invested with intention. You must protect your mental and emotional resources, ensuring that you allocate them to pursuits and relationships that align with your values. True boundaries are not just about saying no, they are about asserting your own needs unapologetically. They allow you to stand firm in who you are rather than being molded by external expectations. The ability to prioritize oneself is a skill, one that must be cultivated through practice and self-awareness. The Stoics knew that self-discipline extends beyond personal habits. It also applies to the way you interact with others. The person who masters boundaries commands not only respect, but also a deeper sense of inner peace. When you begin to set firm boundaries, people may resist at first. Those who are used to taking advantage of your willingness to help may even be upset. But over time, the right people will respect you more for it. By valuing yourself, you teach others how to value you. A man with strong boundaries commands more respect than one who bends at every request. Each time you reinforce your boundaries, you reinforce your self-worth. The more consistent you are, the more others will come to understand and respect the limits you set. Many fear that setting boundaries will push people away, but the opposite is true. Those who truly respect and value you will appreciate your honesty and clarity. Boundaries do not create distance. They foster healthier relationships. When people know where you stand, they trust you more. When you communicate your needs openly, you teach them how to interact with you in a way that fosters mutual respect. Setting limits is not about rejection. It's about creating stronger, more meaningful connections based on honesty rather than obligation. Setting boundaries does not mean you are unkind. It means you care enough about your well-being to protect it. Imagine your time and energy as a limited resource, like water in a well. If you allow everyone to take from it freely without caution, it will soon run dry. If you carefully regulate who has access and ensure that it is used wisely, it remains full and available for what truly matters. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates with intentional access. The key is to be selective, ensuring that the people and commitments you allow into your life contribute to your well-being rather than depleting it. When you set boundaries, you are also teaching yourself discipline and self-respect. Each time you say no to something that does not align with your values, you reinforce your sense of self-worth. This strengthens your ability to make decisions that serve you rather than simply appeasing others. With time, you will find that not only do others begin to treat you with greater respect, but you will also develop a deeper appreciation for yourself. The ability to stand firm, to say no when necessary, and to prioritize your own well-being is a testament to inner strength. To put it simply, a man without boundaries is at the mercy of those around him. He is easily manipulated, overburdened, and emotionally exhausted. A man with boundaries, however, is in command of his own life. He knows his worth, prioritizes his needs, and interacts with others on his own terms. The choice is yours. Will you allow yourself to be ruled by the expectations of others, or will you take control and shape your life with intention? Practice saying no. When someone asks something of you that you do not truly want to do, pause. Instead of immediately saying yes, respond with, "Let me think about it." This will give you space to assess whether it aligns with your values or if you are simply being nice out of habit. Chapter 4. How niceness breeds resentment. Have you ever helped someone only to feel irritated afterward? Have you ever gone out of your way for someone who never reciprocated? This is the curse of the nice person. They give expecting something in return, but never express their expectations. Then they feel bitter when others don't appreciate them. This unspoken expectation turns kindness into a hidden transaction where resentment grows silently in the background. People who prioritize being nice often assume that others will naturally reciprocate their generosity. They believe that their kindness will be recognized and rewarded without the need for direct communication. But reality does not work this way. Many take advantage of endless giving, while others remain unaware of the silent resentment building up. The problem is not just external. Being overly nice without setting expectations erodes self-respect. When your kindness is driven by fear of conflict or rejection, it stops being an act of virtue and becomes a means of self-preservation. The danger of this mindset is that it fosters a cycle of disappointment and frustration. When you continuously give without making your expectations clear, you invite exploitation, either deliberate or accidental. People do not always recognize the emotional cost of your actions, and without open communication, they will assume that you are content with the dynamic. The fault lies not only with them, but with you for failing to establish boundaries. Epictetus reminds us, man is disturbed not by things, but by the views he takes of them. If you choose to act, do it because it aligns with your values, not because you expect praise. Otherwise, you are not being kind, you are being manipulative. True virtue demands clarity and intention. If you want to give, do so freely, without expectation. But if your kindness comes with an unspoken contract, you are setting yourself up for disappointment and bitterness. The solution is simple yet profound. Be honest with yourself about why you do what you do. If you want to help someone, do so without strings attached. But if you expect something in return, express it clearly and directly. Too often, people who are overly nice assume that their goodwill will be reciprocated. But life does not operate on unspoken agreements. Communication is key. If you continuously give without articulating your needs, you set yourself up for disappointment and exhaustion. Avoid living in silent frustration when your needs are not met. Instead of passively hoping for appreciation, cultivate self-awareness and take responsibility for setting the terms of your interactions. Set clear expectations. Say no when necessary, and remember that true kindness is rooted in strength, not fear. The ability to assert boundaries is a form of self-respect and ultimately fosters more authentic relationships. Recognize that true kindness does not mean self-sacrifice at the expense of your well-being. It is about balance, knowing when to give and when to withhold, when to offer support and when to step back. When you respect your own limits, others will learn to respect them as well. If they do not, then they were never valuing you for your character, only for what they could take from you. Those who truly respect and appreciate you will honor your ability to say no just as much as they appreciate your willingness to say yes. Practicing assertive kindness can be transformative. It allows you to contribute to relationships without feeling drained or used. When you give from a place of genuine intention rather than obligation, your generosity is more meaningful. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, where both parties feel valued rather than burdened. By shifting your mindset from blind niceness to mindful generosity, you create space for deeper, more fulfilling connections. By fostering this mindset, you will find that your relationships become more genuine. When you assert yourself honestly and clearly, you remove the potential for hidden resentment, disappointment, and misunderstanding. In doing so, you replace blind niceness with true virtue, one that is built on honesty, strength, and self-respect. The key to lasting fulfillment lies in maintaining equilibrium, balancing kindness with self-preservation, generosity with assertiveness, and warmth with unwavering strength. The next time you feel resentment, ask yourself, Did I agree to this because I truly wanted to, or because I was afraid to say no? Learn to say yes out of genuine intention, not obligation. Start small, decline minor requests that do not serve you, and notice how liberating it feels. Practice voicing your needs clearly. Over time, you will realize that being respected is far more valuable than simply being liked. Chapter 5. Why Strength Commands Respect. People do not respect those who are endlessly nice. They respect those who stand their ground, those who have opinions, those who can say no without guilt. The Stoics were leaders, not people-pleasers. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome not by being agreeable, but by embodying wisdom and strength. The problem with being perpetually nice is that it often stems from a fear of rejection rather than a genuine desire to do good. When you prioritize the approval of others over your own principles, you become susceptible to manipulation. People may exploit your willingness to bend, taking advantage of your kindness without offering true respect in return. Niceness without strength is merely submission in disguise. Respect is not given to those who crave it. It is given to those who act with integrity. If you shrink yourself to please others, they may tolerate you, but they will never truly value you. The more you concede to keep the peace, the more others will view you as weak and unworthy of serious consideration. Without respect, you will always be at the mercy of others, allowing their opinions and desires to dictate your actions. Respect is built over time, and it requires consistency in your words and actions. People recognize strength when they see it, when you carry yourself with conviction, when you do not falter under pressure, and when you remain composed in the face of challenges. Those who demand respect through force or intimidation may achieve short-term compliance, but true respect is rooted in admiration and reliability. When you demonstrate integrity, people naturally gravitate toward you, knowing that your word is your bond. To command respect, you must cultivate a presence that demands it. This means setting clear boundaries, making decisions with conviction, and refusing to apologize for your beliefs. People admire those who are steadfast, who remain true to themselves even when faced with opposition. Strength, in the Stoic sense, is about consistency and self-control. It is about choosing principle over popularity and wisdom over temporary approval. It means prioritizing what is right over what is easy and standing firm even when others attempt to sway you. Respect is built through action, not words alone. If you constantly seek validation, people will sense your need for approval and view you as someone who can be swayed. This is why it is essential to move through life with purpose, making choices that reflect your personal values rather than external expectations. When others see that you are not easily influenced, they will begin to take you more seriously. This is not about arrogance, it is about self-assurance, knowing who you are and refusing to compromise on your beliefs. When you speak, speak with confidence. When you act, act with purpose. If someone disrespects you, do not allow it to continue unchallenged. Responding with poise and clarity demonstrates that you know your worth. Instead of seeking to prove yourself to those who dismiss you, walk away and invest your energy in those who recognize and appreciate your strength. The way you carry yourself dictates how others will treat you. Stand tall, make eye contact, and ensure your words reflect your inner certainty. Strength also requires resilience. The ability to remain composed when challenged is a defining trait of those who command respect. People may attempt to test your boundaries, hoping you will waver, but consistency is key. Maintain your stance, remain polite yet firm, and show that you will not be pushed around. Over time, this builds a reputation of reliability and unwavering character. The more you practice this, the more natural it will become. You must train yourself to embrace resistance, to hold your ground without resorting to hostility, and to exhibit an unshakable sense of self. Respect is not something you can beg for. It is something you earn through unwavering commitment to your own values. The sooner you understand this, the sooner you will shift from being someone who seeks respect to someone who commands it naturally. Respect is not built in moments of ease, but in moments of challenge. It is your ability to remain steadfast in your principles, even when external pressures urge you to compromise, that will set you apart. Those who are easily swayed will never be truly respected, for their convictions are shallow and dictated by others. As you reinforce your boundaries, your self-respect will grow, and others will begin to recognize that you are not someone who can be easily swayed. Strength of character is magnetic. When you live by your principles, the right people will admire you, and the wrong ones will fade away. The world respects those who respect themselves first. The key to cultivating this strength lies in small daily acts of discipline. Each time you hold your ground, each time you refuse to compromise on what matters, you reaffirm to yourself and to others that your integrity is non-negotiable. Over time, this creates an aura of authority, a presence that naturally commands respect without the need for force or manipulation. People will start to view you as someone whose words and actions align, someone who does not bow to convenience, but instead upholds a steadfast set of values. This transformation is not instantaneous. It requires patience and a commitment to self-improvement. You must develop a habit of self-reflection, regularly evaluating whether your actions align with your true beliefs. Question whether you are making decisions based on fear or strength. Consider whether you are conceding too much just to avoid conflict. With each realization, take deliberate steps to correct course, strengthening your inner resolve. Additionally, practicing assertiveness plays a crucial role. Speaking with confidence, maintaining steady body language, and calmly asserting your boundaries all contribute to the presence you project. When people recognize that you are not someone who can be easily manipulated, they will naturally offer you greater respect. Consistency is key. Each instance of standing firm reinforces your reputation and self-worth. Over time, this mindset shift will not only earn you respect from others, but will also deepen your sense of fulfillment. Living with integrity eliminates the inner turmoil caused by constantly seeking external validation. Instead of feeling weighed down by the expectations of others, you will experience a newfound freedom, one that stems from being true to yourself. When you master this, you will no longer need to demand respect. It will be given freely by those who recognize your unwavering strength. Chapter 6. Embracing discomfort. Being nice is often about avoiding discomfort. It is easier to smile and nod than to confront someone. It is easier to agree than to debate. But as the Stoics teach, discomfort is necessary for growth. Seneca reminds us, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." You must train yourself to withstand the discomfort of saying no, of standing up for yourself, of speaking an unpopular truth. It will feel uneasy at first, but strength is built through resistance. Avoiding discomfort only leads to stagnation. Growth requires stepping outside of your comfort zone, engaging in difficult conversations, and pushing against the impulse to always seek approval. The ability to face discomfort head-on is a hallmark of personal strength and emotional resilience. Discomfort is not an enemy, it is a teacher. Each moment of unease, whether in setting boundaries, asserting your opinion, or declining an unnecessary obligation, is an opportunity for growth. When you allow yourself to experience and endure discomfort rather than flee from it, you strengthen your inner resolve. Over time, what once seemed unbearable will become second nature, and your tolerance for adversity will grow. you will find that what used to make you anxious or fearful no longer holds the same power over you. By reframing discomfort as a necessary part of growth, you begin to embrace it rather than avoid it. Avoidance of discomfort fosters weakness, while embracing it cultivates power. By repeatedly confronting situations that challenge you, you develop resilience that extends beyond social interactions. The practice of engaging with discomfort does not mean seeking hardship for its own sake, but rather recognizing the value it brings. Whether it is in relationships, career choices, or personal goals, learning to sit with discomfort allows you to navigate life with greater confidence and clarity. The more you lean into it, the more you realize that discomfort is temporary, but the strength you build from it is lasting. By consistently choosing the harder but more fulfilling path, you refine your character and solidify your principles. Instead of viewing discomfort as something to avoid, embrace it as a stepping stone to greater wisdom and independence. Each difficult conversation, every moment of standing your ground, reinforces a crucial lesson. Growth is found in discomfort, not in complacency. Over time, you will find that the situations that once made you anxious no longer hold the same power over you. You will have trained yourself to withstand pressure and thrive under it. Through this process, your self-trust and personal integrity will grow, making it easier to face challenges in the future. Every challenge you face strengthens you, ensuring that the next one feels less intimidating. In doing so, you transform from someone who merely seeks comfort to someone who actively pursues growth and self-respect. This transformation is gradual but deeply rewarding, as every act of courage compounds over time, reshaping your mindset and reinforcing your ability to handle adversity. Those who embrace discomfort not only command greater respect from others, but also experience deeper self-assurance. Each moment of discomfort you endure serves as training, sharpening your mental fortitude and teaching you to remain steadfast in the face of uncertainty. The ability to navigate difficult situations without retreating enhances your confidence, making you someone who stands firm in their convictions rather than bending to external pressures. When you willingly step into the discomfort of necessary conflict, assertiveness, or self-expression, you shape yourself into a person who is both formidable and wise. This willingness to face discomfort head-on fosters resilience and ensures that you are not easily swayed by fleeting emotions or the opinions of others. Over time, you cultivate an inner stability that allows you to respond with clarity and composure, even in the most challenging circumstances. You start to influence those around you, inspiring them to approach life with the same courage and resilience. Your actions set a precedent, showing others that discomfort is not something to fear, but something to embrace as a pathway to growth. By leading through example, you encourage those around you to step beyond their own comfort zones, creating a network of individuals who are unafraid to push past limitations. The impact of this shift extends far beyond yourself. It creates a ripple effect, empowering others to reject complacency and embrace growth as well. As more people adopt this mindset, a collective transformation takes place, fostering a culture of strength, integrity, and determination. This not only enhances your own life, but also contributes to an environment where people value resilience and personal development, making the world a place where strength is admired and personal growth is pursued relentlessly. Choose a small challenge each day. Perhaps it's expressing an opinion you would normally suppress. Perhaps it's declining a request. Train yourself to embrace discomfort until it becomes second nature. Chapter 7. The Power of Indifference. One of the greatest strengths a person can develop is the ability to be indifferent to things outside of their control. The Stoics believed that true freedom lies in detachment from external validation, opinions, and circumstances that we have no power over. Niceness is often rooted in a desperate need to be accepted, but when you detach yourself from the need to be liked, you become unshakable. If you are constantly trying to please others, you have surrendered your power to them. Instead of worrying about whether people approve of you, shift your focus to whether you approve of yourself. This shift in perspective is life-changing. It removes the burden of expectation and replaces it with self-ownership. When you act according to your principles rather than the whims of others, you cultivate a deep inner peace that cannot be easily shaken. Indifference does not mean apathy. It means refusing to be ruled by fleeting emotions, social pressures, or external expectations. It means not reacting impulsively to every insult or criticism thrown your way. Instead of chasing approval, cultivate an inner fortress of resilience. This resilience is not just about ignoring negativity, but about developing a mindset where external circumstances hold no control over your internal state. When you no longer need others to validate your worth, you become unstoppable. To truly embody the power of indifference, you must train yourself to disengage from reactions that do not serve you. This involves deliberate practice, such as pausing before responding to criticism, questioning whether an external event deserves your attention, and recognizing when emotional reactions are driven by a need for approval. Over time, this practice strengthens your ability to navigate the world with confidence, making you immune to manipulation and unnecessary stress. You become less likely to be swayed by the ever-changing opinions of others and more rooted in your own beliefs. When you cultivate indifference toward external approval, you liberate yourself from the exhausting need to constantly seek validation. Instead of worrying about how others perceive you, your focus shifts toward your own self-respect. This shift not only brings personal peace, but also commands greater respect from others. People admire those who are unwavering in their convictions, who remain calm under pressure, and who are not easily swayed by fleeting emotions. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes, allowing you to stand firm in the face of adversity. By mastering indifference, you step into a higher form of strength, one that is not built on aggression or dominance, but on a calm, unshakable presence. The world may try to pull you in many directions, but when you are anchored in your own values, nothing can move you against your will. This is the essence of true freedom. As you grow in this mindset, you will begin to see its ripple effects in every aspect of your life. Your confidence will soar, your decisions will be made with greater clarity, and your emotional resilience will serve as a guiding force. Indifference to external control is not a rejection of the world, but a mastery over how it influences you. Those who master this skill do not live without feeling. They simply refuse to be dictated by the whims of others. True freedom comes not from a lack of connection, but from the power to decide what truly matters. Indifference, when practiced correctly, allows you to respond rather than react. It cultivates an ability to observe a situation without being emotionally consumed by it. This does not mean a lack of compassion or care. Rather, it means selecting where and how you invest your energy wisely. When you train yourself to maintain this state of mind, you stop letting external chaos disrupt your internal peace. You become a pillar of stability in the face of uncertainty. This strength extends beyond personal development. It influences how others perceive and interact with you. A person who is centered and unshaken by fleeting emotions or public opinion commands a different level of respect. They do not chase approval, nor do they allow rejection to define them. They move with purpose, making decisions based on wisdom rather than fear. With time and practice, this level of self-mastery becomes second nature. Every instance where you choose to remain composed rather than reactive reinforces this powerful shift in mindset. The more consistently you exercise this skill, the stronger your control over your own thoughts and emotions becomes. This self-possession is what separates those who seek approval from those who command respect. Ultimately, mastering indifference does not mean closing yourself off to the world. It means opening yourself up to a life of true autonomy, where you are guided by principle rather than dictated by external forces. This is the foundation upon which unshakable confidence is built, the kind of confidence that no external judgment can undermine. Chapter 8. The Art of Controlled Emotion. Stoicism does not mean suppressing emotions. It means mastering them. Many people mistake being nice for being emotionally passive, allowing their emotions to be dictated by the moods and actions of others. True strength comes from maintaining composure in all situations, never allowing yourself to be manipulated by external forces. The ability to regulate emotions is what sets a strong person apart from one who is controlled by external circumstances. Emotional mastery is not about eliminating feelings, but about responding rather than reacting. When you cultivate this skill, you become unshakable, maintaining clarity even in moments of high tension. You cease to be at the mercy of negativity, whether it comes from people or from life's unpredictable nature. Seneca said, "A man is as miserable as he thinks himself." If you allow every rude remark, every rejection, and every moment of discomfort to dictate your happiness, you will never be in control of your own life. But when you take control of your emotional responses, you develop the ability to remain calm and rational in any situation. This level of control allows you to make better decisions, avoid unnecessary conflicts, and remain centered in times of adversity. Emotional mastery requires practice. It means observing your reactions, recognizing triggers, and training yourself to pause before responding. It means acknowledging emotions without allowing them to overpower reason. The key is consistency. Small daily actions that reinforce your ability to stay composed and act from a place of wisdom rather than impulse. Practicing emotional mastery involves daily self-awareness. You must take inventory of how you react to situations and actively recondition yourself to respond with calm and clarity. This means intentionally challenging yourself in emotionally charged moments, stepping back, and thinking before acting. It means questioning whether an emotional reaction serves you or if it is merely a conditioned impulse. Over time, you develop a deep emotional resilience that shields you from external pressures. With time, this practice leads to a profound inner peace. You no longer get caught in cycles of frustration or regret caused by emotional outbursts. Instead, you move through life with purpose and poise, embodying the kind of quiet confidence that commands respect. You develop the ability to weather adversity with dignity, never letting setbacks or negative influences dictate your emotional state. True strength is not in loud displays of dominance, but in the ability to maintain serenity in the face of any challenge. A person who has mastered their emotions is neither easily provoked nor easily discouraged. They can engage with the world on their terms, never allowing external circumstances to erode their sense of self. This level of control makes you impervious to unnecessary stress and positions you as a leader, someone others naturally look up to for guidance and stability. Emotional mastery is an ongoing journey. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. The world will continue to test you, but with every challenge, you reinforce your ability to stay composed. In mastering your emotions, you gain control over your life, ensuring that you are always guided by wisdom rather than fleeting reactions. Start practicing emotional discipline. When faced with anger, frustration, or disappointment, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what would a Stoic do? By training yourself to respond with reason instead of impulse, you strengthen your ability to navigate life with clarity and wisdom. Chapter 9. Self-reliance and the path to strength. Niceness often stems from dependency on approval, on others' perceptions, and on external circumstances. But the Stoics believed that true strength comes from self-reliance. A person who is self-sufficient in mind, body, and spirit does not need to beg for respect. They command it naturally. Self-reliance means developing your own sense of worth, your own principles, and your own ability to thrive without constant reassurance from others. It means being comfortable with solitude, knowing that your value does not diminish just because others do not immediately recognize it. When you cultivate this level of independence, you free yourself from the chains of niceness and step into true strength. However, self-reliance is not just about rejecting the need for approval. It is about becoming so grounded in your values and abilities that external opinions hold little sway over your sense of self. The Stoics taught that reliance on external validation is a form of slavery. It binds you to the unpredictable and often fickle nature of others. When your confidence is rooted in your own judgment, rather than the fluctuating approval of the outside world, you develop an unshakable inner strength. This shift requires deep introspection. You must regularly question your motivations. Are you acting from a place of conviction, or are you seeking praise? Are your decisions aligned with your core values, or are they dictated by fear of disapproval? The more honest you are with yourself, the easier it becomes to detach from the need for constant reassurance. The path to self-reliance is not easy, but it is necessary. Each time you choose self-respect over validation, you reinforce your independence and solidify your identity. True self-reliance fosters resilience. When you stop depending on others to validate your choices, setbacks and criticisms no longer have the power to break you. Instead, they become learning opportunities, challenges to refine your wisdom, strengthen your resolve, and push you towards self-improvement. You no longer fear failure because you recognize it as a stepping stone rather than a final verdict. This ability to navigate life on your own terms without being thrown off course by external turbulence is the mark of someone who commands respect effortlessly. It allows you to remain steady in a world that is often chaotic and unpredictable. By embracing self-reliance, you also cultivate a deeper sense of inner peace. There is a profound freedom in knowing that you are enough as you are, without needing external approval to confirm your worth. You no longer chase after validation like a thirsty wanderer in the desert. Instead, you become your own wellspring of confidence and self-assurance. This independence liberates you from the exhausting cycle of people-pleasing and allows you to operate with a sense of purpose that is unshakable. Instead of expending energy on pleasing others, you redirect it toward mastering your craft, honing your character, and living a life that aligns with your highest ideals. You become less concerned with trends, fads, and fleeting opinions, focusing instead on building something lasting, whether it be personal excellence, meaningful relationships, or a legacy of integrity. In doing so, you naturally attract respect, not because you seek it, but because you embody the quiet confidence that only true independence can bring. The more self-reliant you become, the more others will recognize and admire your strength, not as someone who demands respect, but as someone who commands it simply by being steadfast in their own truth. Identify one area of your life where you are overly dependent on others, whether it be emotionally, financially, socially, or even intellectually. Take deliberate steps to strengthen your self-reliance in that area, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Begin by assessing the extent of your dependency. Are you seeking constant validation from others? Do you rely on external motivation to take action? Are your financial decisions dictated by a fear of standing on your own? Once you recognize the patterns, take small but consistent actions to shift towards independence. If you find yourself emotionally dependent, practice self-validation by making decisions without seeking approval. If you rely on others financially, set a plan to increase your financial literacy and independence. If social dependency is an issue, spend intentional time alone, learning to be comfortable in solitude. Every small act of self-reliance builds a stronger foundation, reinforcing your ability to stand firm without needing external crutches. The road to self-sufficiency is not instant, but each step you take will bring you closer to a life where you control your own destiny rather than being controlled by circumstance or others' expectations. Chapter 10. The Unapologetic Life. Stop apologizing for who you are. Stop minimizing yourself to make others comfortable. The Stoics teach that life is too short to be spent trying to mold yourself into what others expect. You are here to live according to your principles, not to seek approval from those who do not matter. Every moment spent diluting your identity to appease others is a moment stolen from your true self. If you continue to shape yourself based on external expectations, you will never know who you truly are. Niceness often manifests as an endless cycle of guilt. Guilt for saying no, guilt for taking up space, guilt for prioritizing your own needs. But you do not owe anyone an apology for being yourself. The moment you stop apologizing for your existence is the moment you step into your power. It is the moment you reclaim your voice, your worth, and your right to stand firm in your convictions without bending under the weight of others' expectations. To live unapologetically is to embrace your authenticity without hesitation. It does not mean being rude or dismissive, but rather standing with confidence in the choices you make and the person you are. It means not watering down your beliefs, your ambitions, or your identity for the comfort of others. If you are constantly explaining yourself, seeking permission, or justifying your actions, you are giving others control over your identity. The more you shrink to fit into the comfort zones of others, the less space you leave for your own growth. To be unapologetic means to live fully and without unnecessary guilt. It means trusting yourself enough to know that you deserve to take up space, to voice your opinions, and to move through life with conviction. The world often tries to mold you into something more palatable, something less disruptive, something easier to accept. But living by Stoic principles requires a different path, one that prioritizes truth and virtue over fleeting approval. It requires the courage to be disliked, to be misunderstood, and to stand firm in the face of resistance. Live boldly, speak your truth, walk through life with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their worth. That is the Stoic way. To stand tall in who you are, without fear or hesitation, is one of the greatest strengths a person can develop. When you stop seeking approval and start living according to your values, you radiate a kind of power that cannot be ignored. You no longer need validation because your confidence comes from within. And when you live this way, the world responds, not with dismissal, but with newfound respect. To achieve this level of self-assurance, you must detach from the illusion that your worth depends on external recognition. You must embrace the idea that not everyone will understand you, and that is perfectly fine. Those who matter will respect your integrity, while those who demand that you conform will fade into irrelevance. The more you accept this truth, the more liberated you become. Instead of asking, "Will they approve of me?" shift your focus to, "Do I approve of myself?" The answer to that question should be the only thing that guides your decisions. Living unapologetically is an act of self-honor. It is choosing authenticity over acceptance, substance over superficiality, and strength over subservience. It is realizing that your power does not come from how well you please others, but from how steadfastly you remain true to yourself. When you live this way, you do not need to demand respect. It is given freely by those who recognize your unwavering strength. Make a list of things you often apologize for unnecessarily. Challenge yourself to stop saying sorry for them. Replace apologies with confidence and self-assurance. Each time you catch yourself justifying your actions or seeking unnecessary validation, pause and remind yourself, I am enough as I am. Over time, this practice will reshape the way you carry yourself and the way others perceive you.